The kitchen light was too bright. That's what I noticed first. That, and the way Ethan's voice dropped too. Something low and sharp when he thought no one was listening. I was standing in the hallway, holding a bag of chips I'd volunteered to grab from the pantry, frozen mid-step. Through the gap in the kitchen door, I could see Ethan's back pressed against the counter, his arms crossed tight over his chest. Leo stood across from him, rubbing the back of his neck the way he always.
Guys, welcome back to the channel. What would you do if your best friend was leaving for a year and everyone knew except you? Tonight, Noah is about to discover Ethan has been hiding something huge from him, and the worst part, the person Noah thought was the problem might actually be the one person trying to warn.
Always did when he was stressed. You can't keep doing this, Leo whispered. You have to tell him. Ethan's jaw clenched. Even from here, I could see the tension radiating off him. I know. Then when? Tonight? Tomorrow? Never. Leo. If Noah finds out tonight, everything changes. The sentence hit me like ice water. My own name, in a conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. I stopped breathing. The chips crinkled in my grip, and I winced, pressing myself closer to the wall. Through the gap, I saw Ethan's head snap toward the door. His expression shifted instantly, the tension smoothing away, replaced by something carefully neutral. Noah? 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 He called. That you? I swallowed hard and pushed the door open, forcing my face into something casual. Yeah, Maya sent me for chips. Ethan's eyes scanned my face, searching. How long were you standing there? Just got here. The lie came out smooth, practiced. Why you two plotting my surprise party? Leo laughed, but it sounded hollow. Something like that. Ethan didn't laugh. He was still watching me, his gray eyes unreadable. You sure you're good? I'm fine. I grabbed the chips from the counter and held them up like a shield. These aren't going to eat themselves. I turned and walked out before either of them could say anything else. But the sentence echoed in my head, over and over. If Noah finds out tonight, everything changes. Finds out what? Maya found me on the back porch 10 minutes later. I was sitting on the steps, staring at the string lights she'd hung around the yard, my untouched bag of chips beside me. You're hiding, she said, dropping down next to me. At your own birthday party. It's not a party. It's a small gathering, and I'm not hiding. I'm getting air. You're hiding. She nudged my shoulder. What's wrong? I wanted to tell her. Maya was the one person who always knew when something was off with me, but the words felt stuck, lodged somewhere between my chest and my throat. Nothing. Just tired. Liar. She pulled her knees up to her chest. Is this about Ethan? My stomach twisted. Why would it be about Ethan? Because you've been staring at him all night like he's a puzzle you can't solve. I opened my mouth to deny it, but Maya held up her hand. Don't even try. I've known you since you were 6. I know when something's bothering you. I sighed, leaning back on my hands. He's been weird lately. Distant. Like, there's something he's not telling me. Maya's expression flickered something quick and unreadable. Maybe he's just stressed. College decisions, maybe. But the look on her face told me she knew more than she was saying, and that scared me more than the overheard conversation. The party was small, just like Maya had promised. Leo, Ethan, Maya, and me, plus Sienna, who had arrived 20 minutes late with a bottle of sparkling cider and an apology about traffic. Sienna Hart was new to our group. She had transferred to our school in September and somehow slid into our friend circle like she'd always belonged there. She was funny and smart and genuinely nice, which made it really hard to dislike her, which was annoying, because I really wanted to dislike her, not because she'd done anything wrong, but because of the way Ethan looked at her, like she was a puzzle piece he'd been missing. I watched them from across the living room. Sienna was laughing at something Leo said, her hand resting lightly on Ethan's arm. Ethan smiled that easy. Warm smile I'd known my whole life. Fanned. Something in my chest cracked. Subtle, Maya whispered from beside me. I don't know what you're talking about. You've been glaring at Sienna for the last 5 minutes. I'm not glaring. I'm just looking in her general direction. Maya snorted. You're a terrible liar. I grabbed a chip from the bowl on the table, more for something to do with my hands than because I was hungry. She seems nice. She is nice. That's the problem, isn't it? I didn't answer. The evening dragged on in that strange way parties do when something unspoken hangs in the air. We played cards. We argued about movies. Leo told the same embarrassing story about the time I fell into a fountain at the mall when we were 14. It was almost normal, except Ethan kept watching me. I caught him doing it 3 times. Once when I was laughing at something Leo said. Once when I was refilling my drink. Once when I caught his eye across the room and he quickly looked away, his ears turning red. And every time, he'd change the subject or suddenly become very interested in his phone. What is with you tonight? I finally asked, cornering him in the kitchen during a lull in conversation. Ethan looked up from his phone, his expression guarded. What do you mean? You keep staring at me. It's weird. I'm not staring. You are. And you've been acting strange all week. I crossed my arms, trying to keep my voice light. If you have something to say, just say it. For a second, something flickered in his eyes, something almost desperate, then it vanished.
A little pause here. After Noah overhears Ethan and Leo has the first red flag. Ethan isn't simply keeping a surprise from Noah, he's controlling when Noah is allowed to know the truth. The line, if Noah find out tonight, everything changes, proves this secret directory involved him.
I don't know what you're talking about, he said smoothly. Maybe you're just paranoid. Maybe you're just a terrible liar. He laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. What would I even lie about? I don't know. That's what's bothering me. The silence stretched between us, heavy and uncomfortable. Ethan opened his mouth to speak, but before he could, the back door slid open and Sienna appeared. Hey, she said, glancing between us. Am I interrupting something? No, Ethan said quickly, too quickly. We were just talking about the party. Sienna nodded slowly, her eyes lingering on Ethan's face. Maya's looking for you. Something about a cake. I'll be right there, Ethan. Turned and walked out of the kitchen without looking back. Sienna watched him go, her expression thoughtful. Then she turned to me. You okay? Fine. You don't look fine. I shrugged, not trusting my voice. Sienna studied me for a moment, her eyes soft with something that looked almost like sympathy. He cares about you, you know? She said quietly, more than you think. Before I could respond, she followed Ethan out of the room. I stood there alone, my heart pounding, wondering what the hell that was supposed to mean. The cake was chocolate, because Maya knew it was my favorite. She'd stuck 18 candles in it, all lit and flickering, and everyone gathered around the dining table to sing. I hated being the center of attention, always had, but I stood there, forcing a smile, while Leo sang off-key and Maya filmed the whole thing on her phone. Ethan stood directly across from me, his eyes fixed on my face. When our gazes met, he smiled small and private, like a secret only we shared. I looked away first, my face burning. Make a wish, Maya called. I closed my eyes and wished for something stupid and impossible. Then I blew out the candles. Everyone clapped. Ethan was still watching me. Later, after the cake was cut and the plates were cleared, I wandered into the hallway to use the bathroom. That's when I heard them. Maya's voice, low and urgent. Are you really going through with it? A pause. Then Ethan. I don't have another choice. I froze, my hand on the bathroom doorknob. You could tell him, Maya said. You should tell him. I can't. Not yet. It's complicated. It's not complicated. Ethan, you're just scared. Of course I'm scared. Ethan's voice cracked. This could destroy everything, or it could be exactly what he needs to hear. You don't understand. I understand more than you think. Silence. Then Ethan sighed, the sound heavy with exhaustion. I leave in 3 weeks. I have to tell him soon. I need to find the right moment. My blood turned to ice. I leave in 3 weeks. The words echoed in my head, over and over. Ethan was leaving, and he hadn't told me. I backed away from the door, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat.
After Ethan announced he is leaving, notice the contradiction here. Ethan says he is leaving because of a gap year opportunity, but his earlier conversation suggests that this isn't the real reason. His body language says a different thing, so the question isn't really why he's leaving, it's what he believes will happen if he stays.
I didn't wait to hear more. I turned and walked back to the living room, my legs numb. Sienna was there, sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She looked up when I entered. Hey, you okay? You look pale. I'm fine. The words came out automatic. Just tired. She frowned, clearly not believing me. But before she could press, Leo appeared with a deck of cards. Rematch, he announced. I refused to let Noah's birthday end with him winning. I forced a laugh. You're just mad because I destroyed you. I let you win. You did not. The banter felt hollow, like I was performing a version of myself that no longer fit. But I went through the motions, letting Leo deal the cards, laughing at the right moments. All I could think about was Ethan leaving, and Sienna, and the fact that everyone apparently knew except me. The announcement came just before midnight. We were all sitting in the living room, the remnants of the party scattered around us. Maya was curled up in the armchair, Leo sprawled on the floor, Sienna perched on the edge of the couch. I was in my usual spot by the window, my knees pulled up to my chest. Ethan stood in the center of the room, his hands in his pockets, looking like a man about to face a firing squad. There's something I need to tell you, he said. My stomach dropped. He looked at me really, looked at me and something in his expression made my heart ache. I've been thinking about this for a while, he continued, and I finally made a decision. Here it comes, I thought. He's going to say it. He and Sienna are together. I glanced at Sienna. She was fidgeting with her bracelet, her eyes fixed on the floor. Maya looked nervous. Leo wouldn't meet my gaze. Ethan took a deep breath. I've accepted an opportunity, a big one. It's going to change everything. I waited for him to say her name. I'm leaving town, he said instead. I'll be gone for a year. The room went silent. I stared at him, the words not quite computing. What? It's a gap year program. I applied months ago, but I just found out I got in. He swallowed hard. I leave in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. The same thing he'd said to Maya. You're leaving. My voice came out flat, emotionless. I was going to tell you sooner. I didn't know how. So you told everyone else instead? I looked around the room. You told Maya, Leo, Sienna, but not me. Maya spoke up. Noah, it's not like that. Then what's it like? I stood up, my hands shaking, because from where I'm standing, it looks like my best friend decided to leave without bothering to mention it to me. Ethan flinched. That's not fair. No. Not fair is finding out at my own birthday party that you're leaving for a year and everyone knew except me. I could hear my voice rising, but I couldn't stop it. What was the plan, Ethan? Slip out of town and hope I didn't notice? I was going to tell you tonight because you had to, not because you wanted to. I shook my head, the betrayal settling into my bones like cold water. We promised each other, remember? When we were kids, we promised we'd never leave each other behind. Ethan's face crumpled. Noah, forget it. I turned and walked toward the door. Noah, wait. Ethan grabbed my arm. His touch was warm, familiar, and I hated how much I wanted to lean into it. Please, just let me explain. I pulled away. You've had weeks to explain. You chose not to. I didn't choose. Then what? You were forced? You had no choice. I laughed, the sound bitter. Leo told me, I heard you too in the kitchen. If Noah finds out tonight, everything changes. So you did know. You knew and you hid it. Ethan's face went pale. You heard that? I heard enough. Silence fell between us, thick and suffocating. I could feel everyone watching, but I didn't care. All I could see was Ethan's face, twisted with guilt and something I couldn't name. You should have told me, I said quietly. You should have trusted me. I do trust you. Then why didn't you tell me? Ethan opened his mouth, then closed it. No words came. I shook my head and turned away. Happy birthday to me. I ended up in the backyard, sitting on the same porch steps where I talked to Maya earlier. The string lights still twinkled overhead, oblivious to the disaster unfolding inside. The door slid open behind me. Footsteps, soft and hesitant. Can I sit? I looked up. Sienna stood there, her expression uncertain. It's your party, I said dully. Well, was. She sat down next to me, leaving a careful distance between us. I'm sorry about all of this. Did you know? She hesitated. Yes. Since when? Since he found out 2 weeks ago. She paused. He wanted to tell you, Noah. He really did, but he was scared. Scared of what? Me being mad. Scared of losing you. She turned to face me, her eyes serious. You're the most important person in his life. You know that, right? I laughed, the sound hollow. If I were that important, he wouldn't have hidden this from me. It's not that simple. It never is. I pulled out a loose thread on my jeans. Why are you here, Sienna? Shouldn't you be inside, comforting your boyfriend? She blinked. My boyfriend? Inch, you, and Ethan. You're together, right? Sienna stared at me for a moment, then burst out laughing. Oh my god. No, absolutely not. I frowned. But you two are you're always together. And he looks at you like a friend, Sienna cut in. Because that's what we are. Friends? She shook her head, still smiling. Noah, Ethan doesn't like me that way. Trust me. I didn't know what to say to that. Relief flooded through me, followed immediately by guilt for feeling relieved. Then what was he hiding? I asked. If it's not about you, what's so terrible that he couldn't tell me? Sienna's smile faded. She looked down at her hands, twisting her bracelet nervously.
After Sienna reveals Ethan isn't dating her, this changes the entire situation. Noah has spent the night assuming Sienna is the reason Ethan has been distant, but she completely destroyed the theory. More importantly, Sienna confirmed Ethan's secret has nothing to do with romance. That means the real conflict has been sitting much closer to Noah than he realized.
There's something Ethan didn't tell you, she said quietly. My heart stuttered. What do you mean? She bit her lip, clearly struggling with herself. He didn't choose to leave because of the opportunity. That's not the real reason. Then what is? Sienna opened her mouth to answer. But before she could speak, the back door slid open with a sharp sound. Ethan stood there, his silhouette framed by the light from inside. His face was hard to read, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. Sienna, his voice was low. Warning. We agreed you wouldn't tell him. Sienna's eyes widened. Ethan, I wasn't. Go inside, please. She looked at me, apology written all over her face. Then she stood and walked inside, leaving me alone with Ethan. The door closed behind her with a soft click. Ethan didn't move. He just stood there, watching me. The weight of whatever secret he was carrying pressing down on both of us. Tell me what? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Ethan's jaw tightened. I can't or won't. Both he took a step closer, then stopped. There's so much I want to say to you, Noah, but I'm not ready. Not yet. That's not good enough. I stood up, facing him. You're leaving in 3 weeks. You've been hiding things from me for months. And now, Sienna knows something that I don't. Something about why you're really leaving. I swallowed hard. How am I supposed to trust you when you keep shutting me out? Ethan's eyes glistened. I never meant to hurt you. Then stop. Just tell me the truth. The silence stretched, agonizing and endless. Ethan took another step closer, close enough that I could see the faint tremble in his hands. I'm leaving because I have to, he said slowly. Not because I want to. Not because some gap year program is my dream. I'm leaving because staying would be worse. Worse? How? He shook his head. I can't explain. Not yet. But I promise. Noah, when I come back, everything will make sense. When you come back. I laughed bitterly. A year is a long time, Ethan. Things change. I know. His voice cracked. That's what I'm afraid of. He reached out, his fingers brushing against my wrist. The touch was light, barely there, but it sent a shiver through my entire body. Wait for me, he whispered. Please. I stared at him, my heart pounding, my mind racing. Wait for what? You're not making any sense. I know. He let his hand fall. I'm sorry. Before I could respond, he turned and walked back inside, leaving me alone in the cold night air with more questions than answers. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in my bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation, every look, every word. Ethan's voice echoed in my head. Wait for me. I'm leaving because I have to. When I come back, everything will make sense. None of it made sense now. And the more I thought about it, the more convinced I became that there was something bigger going on. Something Ethan was protecting me from. But what? And why did Sienna know about it when I didn't? I pulled out my phone and stared at Ethan's contact. The cursor blinked in the message box, waiting for words I didn't have. Finally I typed, "We need to talk." I hit send before I could second guess myself. The response came almost immediately. "I know, but not tonight, please. Just give me a little more time." I stared at the screen, frustration and hurt warring in my chest. Time for what? The three dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, to find the right way to tell you the truth. That was it. No explanation, no comfort, just more mystery. I tossed the phone onto the bedside table and buried my face in my pillow. What truth? I thought. What could possibly be so terrible that you can't tell me? But deep down, in a place I didn't want to acknowledge, I was starting to realize that whatever Ethan was hiding had nothing to do with Sienna, and everything to do with me.
That brings us to the end of the part one. But honestly, I think the most interesting part of this story isn't Ethan leaving. It's the way everyone around Noah has decided that protecting him means keeping him uninformed. Think about it. Maya knows, Leo knows, Sienna knows, Ethan obviously knows. Noah is the only person standing outside the circle, and that's creates one of the strongest emotional conflict of this story. The difference between protection and control. Ethan really believes that hiding the truth is somehow kinder choice. He keeps saying he needs more time. Says he isn't ready. He promises that everything will make sense when he returns. But from Noah's perspective, none of those explanations actually solve anything. They only create more uncertainty. And that is something we can actually learn from the story. When people make decisions on someone else's behalf because they believe they know what is best for that person, the intention might be loving, but the result can still be damaging. Noah isn't angry simply because Ethan is leaving. He is hurt because Ethan decided Noah couldn't handle the truth. That still distinction matters. Imagine discovering that your closest friend have been having private conversation about something that directly affect your life, even if they are trying to protect you. Wouldn't you start questioning everything? Every question, like every conversation, suddenly becomes suspicious. Every look start like giving clues. That's exactly what happens to Noah during like this birthday. At first, he thinks Ethan might be interested in Sienna. Then he discovers Ethan is leaving. Then he learns that Sienna knows something about the real reason. And finally, Ethan tells him about absolutely nothing while waiting, asking him to wait. Each revelation doesn't answer a question, it creates another one. Personally, I don't think Ethan is necessarily lying about caring about Noah. His behavior actually suggests the opposite. He watches Noah throughout the party. He struggles to speak. He becomes visibly emotional when Noah confronts him. And when Noah asks him to tell the truth, Ethan looks like someone carrying a decision he doesn't want to make. But caring about someone doesn't automatically make every decision you make them correct. That's where Ethan becomes such an interesting character. He might genuinely believe that leaving is necessary. He might genuinely believe that keeping from Noah the truth will protect him, but he is also taking Noah's ability to make his own choice. And there's Sienna. I actually think Sienna is one of the most important characters in this part because she becomes the first person to challenge Noah's assumptions. She tells him Ethan actually sees her automatically. She also tells him Ethan's departure isn't really about the opportunity, but even she stops short of revealing the truth. So now we have to ask, why is everyone protecting the same secret? If Ethan were simply leaving for college, there would be no reason for all of this secrecy. If Sienna was his girlfriend, she wouldn't need to deny it so strongly. And if the gap year program were genuinely the main reason he was leaving, Ethan wouldn't have said anything like that staying would be worse. That sentence is the biggest truth. Staying would be worse. Worse for Ethan, worse for Noah, or worse for both of them. That's what makes the ending work. We still don't know the answer. But we know enough to understand that Ethan's departure isn't random. There is a specific reason, and whatever that reason is, multiple people believe Noah shouldn't know about it yet. And then comes the final message. Noah finally reaches out, desperate for an explanation, like anyone would be. But that's what happened. So that was it for this video. The reveal needs to connect all of them. So let us see that whatever Ethan did not actually protect Noah, or whether the secrecy ended up hurting him like more than the truth ever could. So now I want to know your theory. Why do you think Ethan is really leaving? What do you think he promised to keep secret? And most importantly, why do you think he told Noah to wait for him? Because because whatever the answer is, one thing is already clear. Ethan isn't simply leaving town. He's leaving behind a secret that would completely change the way Noah sees their relationship. And when Noah finally discovers the truth, their friendship may not be same again. If you enjoy this story, stay tuned for part 2, because that's where the mystery finally starts getting dangerous.